the Panthers have benched Bryce Young, their number 1 overall pick from 2 years ago. And according to multiple reports, they are at least fielding calls for Diontae Johnson. Some teams have reached out and at least just expressed interest in what it would take to get their number 1 receiver, former Steelers receiver, signed with the Carolina Panthers. They're not going anywhere, so they may be looking to unload him. Amari Cooper's been MIA through 2 weeks. They just lost David Bell. Is that a call Andrew Berry should make? At least to check in on the availability of one Diontae Johnson?
What you feel, Fox?
I think they love their receiver room.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think you make a call for everybody just to see what the value is. Does it make sense? I always think that GM should never sit back and say, we're good here. No, make the calls, investigate the situation. And yeah, I agree with Sean King. Our offense on the outside has lacked explosiveness, and Amari looks completely like he's lost a step this year for some reason. I don't know if he's battling something or not, but unless we get some speed going on the outside or take some shots down the field, look at that passing chart. There's not a lot of shots down the field, if any, right? So Diontae Johnson, who I called a lot of his games at Toledo, is a hell of a player. Hasn't done anything this year. You look at the numbers in the past in Pittsburgh, like he's a hell of a player.
That year, go back and I think it was Ben Roethlisberger's last year.
Yeah.
Diontae Johnson was a monster. Like, he was one of the...
Because they were trying to, replace Antonio Brown.
Yeah, they were spoon-feeding him.
And they had a quarterback that could get him the ball.
Yeah.
Man, this is a yes and a double yes as, the general lieutenant and first corporal of Project Stockpile.
Operation Stockpile. I knew that was coming.
At all times, I am on the waiver wire. Yeah. Even when I'm sleeping, I'm in the waiver wire. Just thinking of just random trades that won't probably work. Just throwing it out there. Yeah, bro. Come on, man. This wide receiving core is not explosive. The wide receiver core, your number 1 receiver, looks like he's aging very quickly. And even if he isn't aging quickly, I like competition. You just lost David Bell for the season. He was a guy that was getting minutes for you. All the the Cedric Tillman fans, we haven't seen it.
Not yet. Let's do this. I think we're all in agreement. Of course you're going to check. The real question here is, what are you willing to give up to get him?
Minimowski.
Like, 4th?
4th? No. I get him for 5 or 6 pennies on the dollar.
You think?
Yeah.
Dustin, you think that they're going to let him go for a 5th or a 6th? Because that's punting on the season, by the way.
They've been punting. When they took Bryce Young out,
well, that's a different argument. By the way, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Carolina Panthers for replacing the Browns as the organization that is completely inept and can't get out of their way. We're no longer that. They are the poster child for it. When you think about what and by the way, I don't think it's a stupid call now to bench him. I thought it was a stupid call to draft him.
You were off yesterday, so my take on this was that they're benching him to save him right now. They don't want this guy to continue to drown.
He's done, bro. There's no saving him.
I don't think.
He's 5'10" and 175 pounds. It was dumb to ever draft him in the first place. And by the way, take a look at all of the former Alabama quarterbacks right now and what they're doing in the NFL.
Yeah, that's not fair, though.
I know we've crowned some of them as being like the next great, but
Jalen Hurts just went to the Super Bowl.
He did, but he also threw a stupid interception that cost him a game Monday.
Who doesn't do that, though?
And by the way, he also regressed hardcore at the end of last year.
I don't disagree with that.
And I'm not saying that he's done and washed and Tua is what Tua.
Would you take Tua or Jalen Hurts over Deshaun Watson?
No.
Clip that. I need that to go. Listen, we starting the 6 o'clock news with that.
No.
Jay has crossed over. We are here.
No, I haven't.
We are here. Listen, Jalen. So if you wouldn't take Tua or Hurts, Tua threw for 4 racks. Almost.
Guys, think about it. They all had great success in college at a national championship level.
Okay.
They all came into the league and early on had a pretty good amount of success. But eventually the league catches up to a gimmick, to something that's different. And I think we've seen it a lot over the last 8 years, 10 years. Go back to RG3, hell. Yeah. When RG3 came in, we're like, oh, there it is. Ron Jaworski said he's a Hall of Famer. While I was on the set with Jaws. Jaws is one of the most respected analysts I've ever worked with. And I almost fell off the seat when he said that. Like, we're going to call him a Hall of Famer 7 games into his career. And RG3 wasn't the only one that happened to. Remember, Colin Kaepernick.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
We thought, he made it to a Super Bowl. He's going to be here forever.
That's when you take Tua.
Deshaun Watson had a great deal of success when he came into the league. Not so much anymore.
I need this to be a moment. Would you take Tua or Jalen Hurts over Deshaun Watson?
I mean, does Tua come with the concussions?
Well, listen, as is.
No.
I factored it in. As is.
So the answer is
That's
no.
one of the reasons Tua is immediately out of the conversation for me.
Now, I don't know if I'm making a big point out of this. McNuggets, am I tripping?
That Jay would take Watson over those guys?
No. Yeah, Watson over Tua and Hurts.
No.
I mean, are you asking me or are you?
I'm asking you.
I am still holding out hope that Deshaun Watson is going to be what he used to be.
Okay.
I haven't completely punted on that notion.
All right, man.
Now, I said last year, and I'll say it again. With every game I see new and not improved Deshaun Watson, it's harder for me to get to the point where he was in Houston.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, man.
But
I think
I
you can
never
make-
was impressed with Jalen Hurts. I just wasn't. If you need 1 yard, he's my guy. 1,000 times out of 1,000, he's my guy. If
I
you
think
need
you
a guy that
make
can pull a semi-truck with a rope, he's my guy. But if you need a guy to make great decisions in key moments in the game and make perfect throws, he is not my guy.
All right.
I think it's funny. If you ask this question to people in Cleveland, people in Miami, and people to Philly, they would give you 3 completely separate
they would.
answers and would be so adamant about it being the only right answer possible that it would be crazy. I think it comes down to personal preference. If you like a pocket passer, and we're taking the concussions out of the equation with Tua.
I didn't. But I didn't.
I'm just saying in general. If you were, Tua is the best pocket passer right now. Of the
Tua,
three.
I would. If Tua was completely healthy, I would take Tua over all of them.
Jalen Hurts, probably the best scrambler of the 3. I've never trusted his ability to throw the ball.
I don't either.
Never throws it to the middle of the field.
And there's a reason
complete
for
red
it.
zone. Even in this new offense with Kellen Moore, I haven't loved what I've seen through the first 2 weeks. Deshaun did not play well whatsoever against Dallas. Played better, but not great against Jacksonville.
Right.
He's still an unknown. He probably has the highest upside of the 3.
And that's why I'm staying. That's exactly why I made that decision.
I think you can make a tangible case, G, for all 3. And I don't think right now, saying if you had to pick one, there's truly a right or wrong answer.
No, it's a fascinating question, G. It is.
I just wanted to go there.
But I'll also say this.
Yeah.
I'm making a YouTube poll.
And consider this, too. Of the 3, and they've all had some success, Deshaun, though he hasn't had team success, has had the most individual success.
Yeah.
He had an MVP-type season. I am not letting go of that. And by the way, we've got 3 more years with him, so we can't.
And so the reason I say that is because there are still some skill set traits that people value. That was the point. The point was to ask the question, when you look at Tua and you look at Jalen Hurts, right? You look at both of those guys. If you need somebody to drop back and throw the football and make an on-time read in between coverage, I don't think people are expecting that from them. I don't think that's the strong part.
I don't think there's a huge difference in the 3 in what you just asked for. Do you? I think they're all very similar.
If you had to, if it's 3rd and 10, and I need a guy to make a throw. Now, granted,
I definitely trust those 2 guys, Tua and Jalen, more than I trust Deshaun Watson.
Right now.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm not an idiot. I've watched these guys play the last 2 years, and those guys, Tua and Jalen, have done more good things more recently than Deshaun Watson. So I think it's very difficult to say that I would take Deshaun over those other guys who have played well recently.
Justin, it's almost like you're in a relationship with someone who once upon a time was unbelievable. And then they hit a skid, whether it was an addiction or whatever it was. They hit a skid and things went south fast. The reason people tend to stay in those relationships is because they can't forget how good it was.
Right.
And they keep hoping he's going to change. I know he can be this person. I saw this person. I lived with this person for 3 years. So it's really hard to end a relationship. Now, if the relationship starts out great for 2 weeks and then turns sour, You don't have that much to work with on the what you're hoping it becomes.
Not enough
but
history.
I am so addicted to the idea that this guy can be the guy, and because I want to more than anything. I need him to be. I'm getting old. I'm running out of chances. I want him to be the guy. So I'm not going, because exactly what Sean said, be careful divorcing someone because the relationship you might jump into might be even
But Jay,
worse.
they're not going to divorce Deshaun this year. I mean, I don't think that's even in play. Fanta mentions like playing Jameis Winston at some point, and I don't see that.
I've heard that
happening this
narrative
year.
a lot. I
don't think that's a smart play to think about Deshaun Watson. Yeah, of course, Flacco was great last year.
Hurt.
Exactly.
Deshaun is not going to get benched unless it becomes Bryce Young bad.
So is he showing you enough? This is, question is he showing, as you guys watch the game, is he showing you enough that says, hey, it could still be in there? Or,
you know what he's doing?
Or are we living off the style?
Yeah, no, here's what he's doing. He's taking you to dinner and bringing you flowers, but he's also staying out with his boys till 3 a.m. on Saturday.
Okay, so...
And wifey's like, but God, he was so great Thursday. He got flowers for me. We went to the best restaurant in town, and now it's 3 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, and he's not home. So there's some good and there's some bad.
Okay.
And you're trying to remember the good before you kick him to the curb. Am I wrong?
I mean, I like the analogies.
I like it.
I mean, I'm an analogy guy, so I'll sit here all day and take those analogies. But to your question you just asked me, do I see that in Deshaun? Answer is no. I think he has lost something he had.
Okay.
Can he get it back?
So that I don't know that you can answer because I don't know his
because of what's going on up here.
I'm concerned about the mental aspect, but I'm also concerned about the physical aspect. The physical aspect, no one can know. I mean, no one knows what's going on inside his body. I guess it's probably the same thing for the brain too. Like we don't know what mentally he's going through.
True.
Or what he's thinking about, or what his processes. We don't know that. Physically, when I see him on the field, he looks a little slower than he did in Houston. Mm-hmm. He looks like he's a little hesitant. Yes, he made some good plays in that game on Sunday. But I guess if that's the bar's been lowered to just hope that we can get that performance. That's not good enough.
No. I think here's because I went through all the gambit of emotions. Like, man, this don't look like it used to look. Then I thought I would rather you start off slow, even though it hurts to take that L to the Cowboys. But for me, it was the first time I saw certain little twinges. Because like you, I before I said the Cowboys game, after that was over, I said, man, this dude looks slow. And he doesn't look like he get throwing the ball out of bounds. I said, man, that ain't it. But for the first time, the one throw to Judy or him escaping and getting out of the pocket, and the ball placement looked better. For the first time for me, it was like, oh, okay, I can see, I saw glimmers of what it used to be, right? And so if you're optimistic, what you're hoping for is each week he starts to get some of those things back.
Yeah, but at some point, I need to see it consistently. I can't, because Baker Mayfield was great one week and awful the next. The reason he's not here anymore is because he was Jekyll and Hyde.
You have to, he can't, so if they come out against the Giants and he's back to what he did against Cowboys.
Oh, no, that ain't gonna work.
You can't do that. It has to be building and stacking on levels, right? I want to see him more and more take responsibility for the offense, more and more eliminate the penalties, or more and more eliminate some of that stuff. And the hope is that after you build and after you continually and you get comfortable because you are playing games in a row and you're at the position practicing every day, you're playing 17 games, that somewhere, somehow it clicks and it says, oh, that's what I get it now. I'm comfortable, I'm back. That's the hope. Now, the reality of the situation is nobody knows if we're living on memories or we're living on hope. Because we don't know until we see him play consistently for 17 games if it's in there or if it's just fool's gold.
What's interesting to that point is we're grading on a curve now.
Yep.
Everybody says it. 250 is the new 300.
Which is kind of...
Two touchdowns is the new 3 touchdowns.
And that muddies it up for us, Jay.
It does, because we're expecting the 350s and the 3 touchdowns. Mahomes isn't doing that now. Hell, Derek Carr, although they put up 91 points or whatever, I think he had like 241 yards passing
something
or
like
something.
that.
It's not like he threw it for 400. I honestly think that you'll have one-offs where that happens. But there were weeks where we had 4 or 5 quarterbacks going over 400.
Everybody.
And 12 to 14 were going over 300.
So now
we got what? How many 300-yard passing games do we have this year? 3?
I actually saw this stat yesterday. Let me pull it up.
Very few. And up is down and down is up. Baker Mayfield and Derek Carr, 2 guys that have been given up on by teams, are leading the league in passer ratings and every number you can look at.
That makes it difficult because now we want an indication that
Jay,
marker.
I got your number.
Go ahead.
15 through 2 weeks last season, 5 through 2 weeks this
Stunning.
season.
It's stunning. We're grading on a curve now.
And 4 last week. There was
It's
only
almost
one
like in
week one.
baseball how, you don't get 20-game winners anymore. No one will ever win 300 games again. 300 games, I don't want to say it was common, but it happened regularly.
Complete games, not happening.
No, complete games are different. And I think in the NFL what we're seeing is to Sean's point, teams are putting more resources into their defensive ends, their defensive lines. It's making it more difficult on the quarterbacks. One of the ways to stop these big 60-yard plays, one after another, is the 2 splits, high safeties, and we're pivoting in the NFL. Probably into an era of defense. And who knows? Wouldn't it be interesting if the run game was vogue once again?
I think we're a little overreacting. I know there's been some numbers with the last few years that have skewed towards less offense.
A lot of numbers.
Honestly, man, I'm telling you, I do think that early in I don't have any numbers to back this up. This is speculation. I think that the lack of preseason has made teams start off slow. They haven't had the rhythm offensively.
We'll see if they pick up.
Yeah.
But to that point, going back 3 years ago when the schedule went to 17 games, we saw this new philosophy about keeping your guys out of the preseason.
Right.
And 3 years ago, there was 110 touchdowns through 2 weeks.
There's 69.
And now there's 69. That's not a blip. That's not an anomaly. That's almost a 50% reduction.
Yeah.
That's look at that. That number is stunning. And it's going in the wrong direction if you're an offensive fan.
Play the guys in the preseason.
I agree. I couldn't agree with that more.